Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, if you can hear me, please just make some noise in the chat section. So, just say hi in the chat section if you can hear me. Oh, I can see someone. Oh, yes. David, Michael, you're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jackson, Sunday, Oladeji. Yep, that's good. That's good. Let's let's just give it a few minutes while we wait for um okay. Yeah, Praise is here. All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna do something real quick. So while we wait for more people to join in, because we don't want anyone to lose out on such an awesome event. So we're going to introduce ourselves. We just your name and your organization, and probably you could also drop what your organization is about in the chat section. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Your name and what you do. Your name, your organization, and what you do. Oh, Jerry, welcome. Paul Shoma, I can see you. Okay. So Jerry, I'm going to be inviting you up soon, just so you can join the stage. Yes, Chigozie, back-end developer at Eway Finance. Taiwo, a creative talent market. Okay, okay. Founder of GetSend, or a creative market talent marketplace. Okay, that's just two. Where are the rest of us? Praise Philip. A teammate at Bloc, a financial service infrastructure. Well, high praise. Welcome, welcome, welcome today. Welcome today. All right. So this is 3:05. 3:05, and we wouldn't want to take much of your. Wouldn't want to take much more time than requested. Oh, Paul, software engineer at SpeedX. Welcome. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Joseph is typing. So my name is Tolu Washe Olugbemiro. I lead community and comms at Bloc, and it's my pleasure to host you this afternoon. Um, and you're welcome to Bloc's Developer Workshop. Right, we're going to developer workshop is where we get into the nitty gritty of our API suites and show you how it works from end to end. You can also get to ask real life questions concerning integrating and implementation of our APIs. And if there's anything you do not understand when you go through our API docs, this is a place you can also get to see it happen um, real time. Yes, Bloc is a financial service infrastructure company. And what we do at Bloc is to make life easy for everyone who wants to become a fintech company. And what we mean by that is we believe that everyone sooner or later would leverage financial technology in their product or in their business model. And for today, we're going to be we're going to be reintroducing our API suite to every one of you on call in this meeting today, and to everyone who would like view later. And we're going to be reintroducing our API suite, but we're also going to emphasize, put a focus on our transfers and accounts API. Jamal, welcome. Joseph, products at Rata FX, welcome. So today we're going to be having our CTO Jerry handle the demo of our dashboard, and also show you how you can implement or integrate the accounts and transfers API. So Jerry, I am going to be bringing you up on stage. So once again, everybody, you're welcome to Bloc's developer workshop. Jerry, over to
Python. Thanks.
you. Yeah, that's
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, sec. Can you see my screen? Please let me know if you can see my screen so that I can begin. Hi everyone, once again. My name is Jerry. I'm the CTO at Bloc. So like Tolu said, today I'll be taking us through the Bloc API, primarily focused on our accounts and our transfers API, right? So we are just going to be going through what is the account and transfer API, what does it do for you as a developer or as a business, how to get started. So it's how to navigate the Bloc dashboard, and also how to navigate the Bloc API, right? API documentation to get started. So I'm going to assume that everyone can hear me and see me. So I'm just going to start. So like I said earlier, the intro, this is a developer workshop, primarily focused on the technical aspects of Bloc, right? As you know, Bloc is a financial solutions company. We provide various financial tools and APIs and infrastructure to different businesses, right? Both technical and non-technical businesses. But this call will be focused on the technical businesses, mostly the developers I can see on the call, the founders I can see on the chat section, right? It's going to be focused on how do you get your developers, or how do you work with your developers, or if you're a developer yourself, how do you work with Bloc's API to get started with our accounts and our transfers API, right? Also to add, this is going to be a kind of like a recurring call almost every month or so, where we are going to cover various APIs and other products, right? So today's call will be focused on our transfers and our accounts. So in this workshop, we're going to be doing a couple of things. A quick intro to accounts, right? So what's the accounts product about? What does it do? What does it offer to you as a developer and as a business? Second part is I'm going to walk us through how to get our API keys and set up our webhooks, because those two steps are necessary to actually complete the remaining steps in this workshop. So once we're able to get our API keys and set our webhook, the next thing we're going to be going through is how do we create accounts. So on the call, we are going to see how to create an account, the in-betweens, basically the things to look out for, the benefits, and so on and so forth, right? So once we're done creating an account, we are going to be creating two types of accounts on this call. We're going to be doing a fixed account, and we're going to be going through how to create a collections account, right? So once we're done creating accounts, we are going to go through listening for webhooks, right? So this is probably where you get to listen for events happening in the accounts, right? So from things about debits and credits, or debits and credits probably happening in your account, how do you know about them in real time? So that's where listening for webhooks comes in. The next part is getting the transactions for the accounts, right? So obviously, as you start transacting and start using Bloc's accounts, you want to be able to pull the transactions attached to those accounts. So we're going to go through the necessary endpoints on getting the transactions attached to an account. Then the last two steps we're going to be going through, finally, we're going to be going through our transfers API, right? So the transfers API, or the workshop for transfers, is going to focus on how do you move money from a Bloc fixed account to any bank in Nigeria, and also how do you move money from what we call your Bloc main balance to any bank in Nigeria. If you don't understand what some of my terms like fixed accounts, main balance, collection accounts mean, I'm going to explain everything on the call, right? So if you do understand them, congratulations. So the first part is intro to our accounts API, right? So like I said, the accounts API give businesses and developers the ability to create actual bank account numbers to bank their customers, right? Not just to bank their customers, also to give their customers a secure and compliant way of actually storing money with them, right? So to summarize what this means is, if you are a startup, a business, a developer trying to build a product that requires issuing a Nigeria bank account to your customers and collecting money through that bank account into your business, and then saving and storing that money in that bank account in a secure and compliant way, that is what accounts actually does for you, right? So Bloc currently has two types of accounts. We have what we call the fixed accounts, and we have what we call the collection accounts. So the fixed account of Bloc is an account that's primarily focused on store value, right? So what that means is that if you are a developer building a product that requires you to, like I said, issue a bank account number to your customers, receive money and store that money in that account, fixed account is for you, right? So fixed account comes with all the necessary compliance and KYC needed to actually hold and store money, right? So if you ever find yourself trying to build a product where you need to hold your customers' money in an account or in the wallet or in the balance, and you want that to be stored in a secure way, fixed accounts is the way to go, right? Then Bloc also supports what we refer to as collection accounts. So collection accounts are for businesses, developers, and anyone that do not want to hold money in those accounts, right? So think about it as you just want to get paid, right, as a business, or you want your customer to send money to you easily without having to store that money somewhere, right? So what happens in this situation is, you, instead of issuing your customer a fixed account, you can easily issue your customer a collection account, right? But for simplicity's sake, for this call and this section, the best way to differentiate a fixed account and a collection account is fixed account hold balances, meaning that they have their own balance. You can store money in those accounts, while collection accounts do not hold balances. Any money received from a collection account goes straight to you as a business, right? So that is the quick intro of accounts. If you have questions about what I just said, fixed account versus collection account, please leave your questions on the comment section. I have people from my team that would gladly answer your questions. Right. So moving on. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, in order to get started with anything Bloc, right? If you're a developer, you want to start integrating any of our products, right? You're practically going to need two things, right? Your API key and your webhooks, right? Your API, your secret API key, is how you authenticate every webhook request, every API request being sent from your application to Bloc, right? So that's how Bloc gets to ensure that your request being sent to us is secure and safe, and it's actually coming from you, and not any fraudulent person. Then your webhook is how you as a business, or in this case, since this is a developer workshop, you as a developer get to listen for real-time events that happens across your accounts and other products in Bloc, right? So I'm going to be walking us through how to get your secret key quickly from your Bloc dashboard and how to set your webhook. So I'm going to log out from this just to take us through the process. So to get started with Bloc, you obviously need to have created an account on the Bloc dashboard by clicking sign up. So you just have to complete a couple of things, just minor information, your name, business name, category, email, and a couple of things. If you already have an account, you can easily log in, which I'm going to do with my account. And when you log in, you are presented with the actual Bloc dashboard. But for the sake of this call, we're going to be focusing on primarily four major pages, right? The customers page, the transactions page, the accounts page, and then the settings, right? So remember, going back to our steps, we said before you get started, you need to get your API key and set your webhooks, right? So to get your API key and to set your webhooks, you are going to click on settings. And when you click on settings, you will see different sections. The section that you are mostly interested in is the developer section, right? So if you go to the developer section, you would see two major sections, right? The first one is where you get to see both your public key and your secret key. I will explain what the public key means and what the secret key means and when to use them, right? And the second section of this developer tab, you are going to find the option to set your webhook, view your webhook logs, and see your webhook secrets. I will also explain what the webhook secrets is and why it's important. So back to my notes, we said we're going to get your secret key, right? So to get your secret key is as easy as what I just described, right? The first key you see at Bloc, which is this, is your secret key. Currently, I'm in my test environment, so it's safe for me to show my test keys because it's test, right? So when you land on the Bloc dashboard, by default, your secret key is hidden, right? And if you want to see your secret key, you can easily click show secret key, right? And this would show you your secret key that you'll be using in making every API request to Bloc, right? You can easily copy the secret key or generate a new key, right? Let me quickly touch on generating a new key. We encourage our developers to try to rotate their API keys as often as they can, right? And also, we also encourage developers to rotate their API keys, mostly your secret key, if you feel like your secret key has been compromised, right? So if you feel like you store your secret key in a public place that anyone can have access to, and you want to update, right, that secret key, or to invalidate that secret key from being used, you can generate a new key and then Bloc gives you a new key. So you click generate key. And what happens is if I refresh this page, you will see that my key has changed to a brand new key, right? So I'm going to be copying this key and I'm going to, give me a sec, please. Let me make this page editable. Okay, so I'm having issues with, okay, yeah, it's up now. All right, so back, let me refresh this page. All right, so it's meant to be editable, but I'm not sure why it's not updating. So we're going to continue so we don't waste time. So where did I stop? So like I said, I've acquired or I've gotten my secret key. And the next thing is to set my webhooks, right? So webhooks, as earlier explained, allow or gives you the ability to know or get real-time notifications as a developer on events happening on your accounts, right? So for this, before the call, I actually set my webhook. So my webhook is at http://api.bloc.hq.io. So I'm probably going to do test/webhook. And all I have to do is save. And what this does is that it registers this endpoint, right, or this my webhook URL as my primary webhook for this project, right? Now that we've gotten our secret key or we've gotten our API keys and we know how to set webhooks, we're going to be moving back to this page, right? Now, the next actually, I forgot to mention something very important, right? One other very important resource in actually consuming the Bloc API is the Bloc API documentation, right? So you can find our API documentation at docs.blochq.io. So when you land on the documentation, you are presented with a detailed documentation on how to get started. So almost everything that I'm going to be showing and presenting on this call is also going to be on this documentation. So on our API doc, the quickest way to read about accounts, just to understand the difference between the types of accounts that we have, the status of the account and the pricing, is to click on our overview. If you want to know more about what our fixed accounts can do for you as a business and how to get started, you have to click on our fixed accounts, right? So I'm probably going to be using this API doc to move to continue this demo because I think it's the best tool. I'll be making reference to this in my notes time to time, but let's use our API doc to complete this workshop. So we've gotten our secret key and set our webhook. So what do we want to do next? We want to create a fixed account, right? So remember, fixed accounts are for businesses that want to issue bank accounts, collect payments through those bank accounts, and have that money collected stored in the balance in that account, meaning that those accounts have balances and they can hold money. The first step in actually creating a fixed account is actually creating what we refer to as an account holder, right? So an account holder, see it as your customers, right? So then basically an account holder is your customer. Who are you issuing the account to? Who is going to be the holder or the owner of these accounts, right? And in order to do that, you need to create a customer first, right? And to create a customer, I'm going to put my API key here that I copied, right? So creating a customer requires this thing, right? It requires your email, that's the customer's email, it requires the customer's phone number, the customer's first name, last name, the customer type, because right now Bloc actually supports one customer type, which is personal. In the next couple of weeks and months, we are going to be releasing a customer type called business, right? And this is for developers that want to issue accounts to businesses, right? So I'm going to create a customer called Jerry, Jerry demo, or let's use demo at blochq.io, right? The next thing is, the next thing is going to be the phone number. So I'm going to create a customer with, let's say, right, that's the customer's phone number. The first name is going to be Jerry, right? The last name is going to be my last name. Customer type is going to be personal. And the BVN, right? So the customer's BVN is actually required because for fixed accounts, Bloc's fixed account comes with compliance built in. What that means is that our account follows CBN's guidelines and regulation on how to actually verify the owners of those accounts, how to securely save the data of those owners of the accounts, and also verify that these people are not fraudulent, right? So as a business, this feature allows you or gives you the confidence that if you are issuing a Bloc fixed account and you follow the necessary steps, and your customers actually pass through our necessary KYC steps, right? Best believe that your accounts are actually secure and your accounts are compliant with CBN's regulation, right? So for this demo, I'm going to be using a fake BVN. And that's it, right? So all I need to do is click try. And you can see that it says account created successfully, right? So what that means is I've been able to successfully create an account holder, right? And that this is basically who we refer to as a customer, right? Now I can actually issue numerous, basically unlimited fixed accounts to this customer. In order to do that, the next step based on our workshop, like I said, the first step is to create a customer. So you can see just BVN, first name, last name. I omitted email address, sorry. So BVN, first name, last name, and email address, right? So you're going to get the customer response that look like this, right? So the key thing from this response is actually the customer ID, right? So this ID is going to be used to identify the customer, right? That's going to basically operate the account, right? So the next step is actually creating this account for this customer. So I know we've been talking a lot about accounts. I'm trying to create an account for a customer. So this is where we actually do that in the next step. So the only thing required to create an account for a customer, or to create a fixed account for a customer, is actually the customer ID. The alias and the metadata are not required. I will explain what an alias is and how you can use them. Right. So to create a fixed account for the customer that we just created, all you need to do is get the customer's ID. Right. So we're going to pick this customer's ID. And we are going to go back to our create fixed account API. And our create fixed account API basically just asks you for the customer's ID. We're going to be correcting this in our latest release of our API doc. Right. So our API doc currently says that metadata and alias are required. They are not. Sorry about that. If that has been misleading to anyone that's been trying to integrate. Right. So this will be updated in the next couple of days because we are going to be releasing a new version of our API doc. Right. So you need to create a fixed account for the customer we just created. You just need the customer ID. And because this doc says this is required, I'm just going to put something here. And when you click create account, what happens is we respond with this. Well, let me go back to my notes because it's bold and clearer. So you see what happens when you create an account for that customer. So when you call the create fixed account endpoint, which is basically http api.bloc.io/v1/account, right? Passing the customer's ID, you get this response, success through data, right? So the data aspect of the response is where you will have all the information about the fixed account that you just created for the customer. So important things to actually note in this response is the account ID, right? The balance of the account, because this is a fixed account. So remember, fixed accounts actually do have balances. The account number, the bank name, and the account type, right? I want to talk about the account number and the bank. Right. Currently, Bloc fixed accounts are powered by Bancorp Microfinance Bank. So Bancorp Microfinance Bank is actually a microfinance bank owned and 100% owned by Bloc. And what that means for you as a business and developer is, and also for us at Bloc, is that we own our own infrastructure in terms of accounts. So we are not connected to third parties, or we're not connected to multiple third parties in order to issue a fixed account to you. So we own our banks, right? And we own our microfinance bank. And we've done, in the last couple of months, we completed our direct integration to NIBs. That means that if you open any of your bank apps, your favorite bank apps or fintech app today, you will definitely find Bancorp Microfinance Bank. You'll definitely find Bancorp Microfinance Bank in any of your apps or your fintech apps. And if for any reason, and that's in a very rare occasion, you do not find Bancorp Microfinance Bank, please reach out to Bloc, and that's help, basically support at bloc.hq.io or help at bloc.hq.io, and we will rectify that immediately, right? Someone has a question on the comment section. Let me pick that question quickly. So Joseph asked if the accounts are instant. Yes, the accounts are instant. It's as instant as what you saw. Basically putting the customer's ID and clicking send instantly creates account numbers for that, instantly creates that account number for the customer. So what we've been able, let's do a quick recap before we move on. What we've been able to do successfully is create an account holder. That's the owner of the account, and that's with just quick information about the customer. You can actually do that in seconds, right? The next step is we took the ID of that account holder, or in this case, what we refer to as customer in Bloc. We took the ID of the customer, we passed it into the create fixed account endpoint, and we instantly issued a Bancorp account number to this customer, right? And with this, as a developer, as a business, you've successfully onboarded your customer, created a fixed account for them, and then you can start, the customer or you as a business can start receiving money into those accounts and sending money out to those accounts, right? And for every action that we just took, which is creating a customer, creating an account, Bloc also send webhook events, right? And the quickest way to kind of like view all your webhook events at Bloc is to go to the dashboard, like I said. Developers, assuming that you have set your webhook from the first initial steps that we went through, you can click on this button here called View Webhook Logs, right? So if you click on the View Webhook Logs, we open a portal for you to see all your webhook logs. So for example, this is the latest one that was sent. You can see around the same time when I created the customer, right? If you click on this, you get to see the payload that was sent to you. The response, the response was 404 for my webhook because this webhook is fake. This is not correct. I just made this up on the code. But regardless, you can also see that Bloc sent a webhook to you as a developer. You can monitor the response that you sent back to Bloc. You can monitor the payload that Bloc sent to you. You can see the request header, the response header, and so many other things. One other cool thing that the portal allows you to do is that you can retry a failed webhook. So if you feel like maybe for any reason your backend was down and you could, please can someone confirm that you can still hear me? So can you still hear me? Everyone? Okay, all right. So in a situation where maybe you missed a webhook, maybe due to Bloc having a bug or your backend being down for maintenance reasons or whatever reason, you can always come back to your webhook logs, which you can find on your Bloc dashboard. Click webhook logs, and you can retry failed webhooks or unsuccessful webhooks, right? So far, as you can see, we've been able to issue a fixed account to a customer. The next thing about accounts, or the next type of account that Bloc has, is our collection accounts, right? Earlier, I explained that collection accounts do not hold balances. So that's the major difference between a collection account and a fixed account, right? So a collection account is a disposable account, right? Think about it as the typical virtual accounts that you find in the industry today. So the use cases that, or one of the major use cases that you can actually use collection account for is you want to receive payment from your customer as a developer, as a business, but you do not want to save or store that money in Bloc's fixed accounts or leave the money in Bloc, right? You just want to receive payments, get notified that I've received payment using this account number, then proceed to do whatever it is that you do for your customer when your customer pays, right? Now, to create a collection account, it's faster than creating a fixed account because collection accounts do not require customers, right? All collection accounts are tied to the organization, right? So that means that then if you are a business, let's say you are called Test Fintech, right? And you signed up with Bloc with the name Test Fintech, and you want to create a collection account for your customers to pay you as a fintech company or to pay for a service that you offer as a startup, right? You can easily create collection accounts, and those collection accounts will be under your business name, right? So to create a collection account, let me go back to our API doc. You will see that collection account does not actually require a customer, right? It requires something what we refer to as alias, and aliases are not required, right? To recap again on the issue that we're fixing on our API docs, some things like alias and metadata are not required. If you call the APIs from your code, you would realize that they are not required. We'll be making those corrections to the API doc soon. But to create a collection account as a business to start receiving payments instantly, all you just need is to create collection account. You don't need to pass anything, right? That's the quickest way. When you create collection account, Bloc generates a Banco account for you that you can share with your customers and receive payments. But if for any reason one thing to note is that every collection account created via the API takes the business name, right? So it takes the business name. So if your business is called test, every collection account will be called test, right? Because collection accounts do not code balances, so they are not attached to customers, they are attached to the business. But if you are building a product or an app or a service, right, that requires you to kind of like differentiate this collection account by name, maybe you have test Jerry, test Praise, and test whatever. This is where the block alias feature comes in. So we provide an option for you to actually append something at the back of the collection account's name. Right? So that way, if you create your business name, the alias. This is a very good feature for you to. This is a very good feature for you to. I'm back. Can everyone hear me back? Praise, please, can you hear me? The connection good at your end. All right, so let's continue. Sorry about that. I'm having network issues today. So we were going through collection accounts. I'm going to assume that maybe you missed some of the things I said due to my connection. So I'll try to quickly recap. So creating a collection account is as easy as calling our create collection account endpoints. And that's it, right? Call create collection account endpoints. You get a disposable account that you can give to your customers and quickly receive money, right? One of the questions I'm sure most of you have in your mind right now is, okay, if I receive this money, where does it go? Since collection account doesn't have balances, where does the money go? So the money actually gets settled to your block settlement balance. So if you go to, as a business or a developer, if your choice of account is actually collection accounts, every time you get paid through a collection account, the money gets settled into your settlement balance, right? So if you go to the Bloc dashboard, you can see that all payments received through collection accounts are settled there. So what happens is once you receive the money is in your settlement balance, then T+1 or the next day, or depending on the configuration or the agreement that you have with Bloc, the money would either get settled instantly to your external business accounts, so you can perform other business operations or needs. And in most cases, the money actually gets settled to what we refer to as your Bloc main balance, right? I will be explaining this balance soon, but think about this balance as where Bloc basically pays you out and actually bill you or charges you for anything that you need to actually pay for at Bloc, right? So you can track all your payments from a collection account through your balances page or your transactions page, right? Hi everyone, I'm back. So yeah, so this, what I've been able to demonstrate so far is basically explaining what a fixed and collection account is in Bloc, how to create a fixed account customer, how to create a fixed account for that customer, and how to quickly create collection accounts to receive quick payments as a business, So I'm probably going to pause here and accept questions related to accounts before I move on to the transfers API, then leave the floor open to any question from anyone. So does anyone have questions relating to I see. So Paul said the collection accounts used to have a custom. So recently, yes, we actually fixed that bug, and I think by the end of this week or by Monday, the team is going to be sending out an email giving you an overview of all the bugs that have been fixed. But since you asked on this call, let me answer the question. So the couple of things that we've been able to do for you so far to actually easily identify collection accounts is when you create a collection account, we now return an ID with the collection account, right? ID goes to details about and get details about the accounts. And for every webhook event that's actually sent to you when the collection account payment is made, the collection account ID is also attached to it, right? Also, after this call, I'm going to look into the missing metadata issue that Paul actually brought up, right? What the expected behavior is if you pass in the metadata, while creating collection account, you should also receive that metadata in transactions related to that payment, right? So Paul, I'm going to ensure that that's fixed, and we are going to be communicating to you and everyone on the fixes. So let me scroll. Babatunde said, hi Jerry, great work. When onboarded as a business on Bloc, does Bloc issue bank accounts for the company under the company name after KYB? Oh yes, let me answer the first question, the first one from Babatunde. So if you go to your main balance, the reason why you cannot see an account number because I'm on test, or if I switch to my live mode, so switching to live means that you've completed KYB and you've completed all the necessary compliance things that Bloc requires. What that means is that immediately you do that, Bloc issues you a business account, right? So if you go to your main balance, you would see an account number, a Banco account number, which comes with your business name, right? So you can easily send money into this account number to top up your main balance for different operations that you're going to be performing on Bloc. So yes, Babatunde, we do issue you an account number immediately you complete KYB. The next question is there an endpoint for transfer from organization balance? Is there an option for account customer to send or transfer to the organization? Yes. So, Babatunde, there is actually an endpoint for transfer from main balance and also an endpoint to transfer from a fixed account. And I'll be showing you that when we get to the transfer section, right? So the third question is, and yes, there's an option for the customer to actually transfer to from the customer to transfer to the organization itself. Yes, that's possible. All right. So the third question is Bloc charges £0 basically our charges. As a developer, how can we add our charges when insurer is doing transfer, for instance? That's a very good question. So right now, we do not support the option for you to pass your own charge. But what we try to advise businesses is when you want to perform a transfer, right, and you know that you want to charge your customer a particular fee for that transfer, right? We always advise that you use our account-to-account transfer API, which is extremely fast and free to mention. So you don't pay Bloc a single dime if you use our account-to-account transfer, right? So the hack right now, and I'm calling it a hack, and we're going to look into giving you the option to pass in fee yourself. So you don't have to do that 2 or double API calls. But the hack right now is when you initialize, it's like before or after you initialize the transfer, right? You can then call account to account transfer, which moves money from your customer's account or wallet, if you have that, to your Bloc's main balance. That way you can actually charge your customer a fee, right? But right now we do not support you passing fees, right? Another option is if you do not want to separate the fee from the original transfer charge, you can actually, if your customer is transferring a total sum of 1,000 naira, and you want to also pass like a fee of, if you want, you can easily pass to the transfer. Sorry, can everyone hear me now? I will probably keep going on and off due to my internet. Apologies. So Babatunde, you asked the same question. So the same answer I gave for number 3 applies to number 4. Number 5 question is Bloc promised us Naira USD virtual card, but only NGN virtual card available on the documentation. Oh, right now we actually support, we do support NGN and USD virtual cards. The only thing is that our virtual cards are actually in beta stage right now and should be open to every single person in our API documentation in the next 1 week or 2. Right now, we have customers that have successfully integrated both the USD card and the Naira card, right? So yes, we actually have USD and Naira card. I will check the API documentation to see if we omitted the USD API details. And if we did, we were going to update our API doc very soon. And the 6th question is, does Bloc virtual account fixed account allow appending product names to customers' account name? Yes, we do. So let's go back to creating a fixed account. So that is what the alias does. So if you're creating a fixed account for a customer and you still want to append maybe anything to the back of the customer name of that account, you can also pass an alias to the back of the fixed account. So in this case, Babatunde, the product name can be passed into alias and it will be appended to the fixed account. All right. So I think I've answered the majority of the questions in the chat sections. We have Ibukun and Praise also that can also help in answering other questions. All right, you're welcome, Babatunde. So let me see. I think we've spent like 45 minutes. Let me try to take us through transfers. Yes, Paul, you do get aliases on the webhook. You do. All right. So let's quickly go to our transfers API and how it works, and mostly how transfers complement accounts, right? To do a quick intro into our Bloc transfers API, I know most of us here know what a transfer is, but our transfers API allow you as a developer business easily move money from Bloc to any bank in Nigeria, right? Right now, Bloc supports. Someone joined the stage. Someone wants to ask a question. All right, I think that was a mistake. So for our transfers API, and also if you have more questions, I'm going to come back to answer questions in the next couple of minutes. I want to quickly take us through our transfers API so that we can all ask all the questions that we have to ask at once, right? So right now, Bloc actually supports transfers to any bank in Nigeria. So we currently support 2 ways, right? We currently support 2 ways of actually transferring out of Bloc, right? So you have the ability to transfer out of a fixed account. So you have you've issued a fixed account to your customer. Your customers is saving or basically keeping their money in those fixed accounts. You also want to give them the ability to easily move money out of the accounts, just the same way you've given them the ability to move money into the account, right? So to actually transfer money out of a fixed account is as easy as calling our transfer from fixed accounts API, right? And what this API actually accepts is the amounts. Our amounts are in Kobo, right? So it has the bank code, and you can get the list of bank codes using under miscellaneous. You have get list of bank codes endpoints, right? So this would return the list of bank codes that Bloc supports, right? And you can pick the bank code depending on the bank that the customer wants to transfer money to, and pass it to the barcode section of the transfers. The next thing is the account number, basically the destination accounts, right? So where is your customer transferring this money to? Where are you transferring this money to as a business? Then the next thing is the account ID. So remember, this endpoint is showing you how to move money from a fixed account. And this is assuming that you as a business or a developer is also using, or you are also using the Bloc fixed accounts, right? If you are not using the Bloc fixed account to bank or to keep your customers' money, this API is not for you, right? I would show you the other API to transfer that would work for you. So the account ID is basically the account ID of the fixed account you want to move money from, right? So if you issue the fixed account to a customer and the customer currently has a balance of 10,000 naira and they want to move 1,000 naira, you just pick the account ID, which you can easily get by, if you have the customer's ID, maybe in your database, or you have the customer's ID in your application. We always advise that you save the account ID after it's issued and the customer's ID in your database as well. But if you only have the customer's ID, right, you can easily call under accounts, you can call get customers accounts endpoints. You pass in the customer's ID and we return all the accounts attached to that customer. And then you can pick the account ID you want to transfer from. Narration is basically narration. I'm sure that's self-explanatory. And we always encourage that you pass a reference, right? So reference is actually optional. If you do not pass a reference, Bloc is going to generate a unique reference for that transfer for you. But the reason why we encourage developers to pass a reference is for various reasons, right? One is you can have something going on in your own application. Maybe you want to unlock a reward, or you want to verify a webhook based on the reference that you have in your application, and so many other reasons, right? And also a very important reason for reference to ensure that you do not send the same transfer twice or multiple times, right? So this can actually happen maybe if your customer or you as a developer made a mistake, right? And you call your transfer API multiple times with the same reference. If you call the transfer API multiple times or more than once with the same reference that has been used, Bloc returns an error telling you that this reference has been used for a previous transfer. So when you make a transfer, we return a transfer response to you. One thing to note is the status of the transfer. All our transfer status is always pending initially, but that doesn't mean that the transfer is not instant. It means that we do some things behind the scenes to ensure that the money actually gets to the destination before we tell you as a developer that this was successful, right? So this is where the webhook comes in. We always encourage you to listen for webhook events, right? After a transfer has been made, to know the true status of the transfer, right? So when you make a transfer, you get the transfer response where you get a ref, the ID was made, the account ID, the transfer was made from, the recipient's account number, the recipient's name, the amount, narration, currency status, and the dates that the transfer occurred, right? So this is how to move money easily from a Bloc fixed account, issued fixed account, to any Nigeria bank or any Nigeria account number, right? But if you are a developer or a business that do not want to use the Bloc fixed account, right? Or maybe all you're coming to Bloc for right now is the ability to transfer money, right? We also give you the ability to transfer money out of your main account, right? So you just have to call the transfers/balance endpoint. And the difference between this guy, this API request, and the original one, which is from fixed account, is the account ID, right? So in fixed account, you are passing us the account ID. That is the account ID to debit for this transfer. Well, from the main balance, you can easily omit the account ID, and Bloc then debits your main balance for that transfer, right? So this is how Bloc's transfer works. We support, like I said, we support moving money from a Bloc issued account, if that's what you want, or we also support moving money from a Bloc, from your main balance. There's something missing in my notes. Let me run through it quickly using the API doc. We also support bulk transfers, not just single transfers. So I mentioned a particular API, which is called Internal Transfers API. Internal Transfers API basically allow you move money from a fixed account or one account in your organization to another account in the organization for free, right? So the transfer charges do not apply when you're using Internal Transfers API. So all you need to do is pass the amount. You need to pass the from account ID. From account ID is the account in which we will be debiting the amount from. The to account ID is the destination account in the organization you want to move the money to. The narration, the reference, and the rest remains the same, right? Then we also support a bulk transfer. The bulk transfer API actually looks exactly like the transfers payload. The only difference is that you are putting it around an array. So the block transfers API takes in an account ID, which is where are we debiting this money from. This account ID can either be your fixed
Hi guys. It's look like Jerry's network is acting up. Oh, he's back.
Hi everyone. Um, Sorry about that once again. So yeah, I was wrapping up how to use the block transfers API, and I think I'm done. I'm happy to take questions relating to accounts or transfers, mostly transfers for now. Then we can then take questions relating to account and transfers or anything you want. Uh, so Joseph said we are getting unable to. So we are actually going to look at that immediately after this call, right? So please expect a fix and an update today on that, right? Sorry about that. Also, Joseph, I would appreciate if you can reach out to us so that maybe if we can get some more details about your transfers payload and things like that, right? That might also help, but we are also going to look at it regardless, right? I'll get back to you. So praise or anyone in the comment section, let's try to get Joseph's details, but I'm sure the fix will probably apply to any other person that's probably facing the same bug. Oh yes, code. There's an API to get bank codes under our miscellaneous. You can actually get a list of banks we support, and you can also resolve the account. Basically, you can get the name, the bank, the account name, right, attached to an account number. Are there any other questions? All right. So what happens when a user sends money to an expired or a used collection account? So prior to this is April, yeah, prior to last month, what happens is you actually still get the money, right? So if your customer sends money to an expired or used account, depending on the configuration that you've set, last month you get the money. But the latest update that we're going to be pushing in the next couple of days, what happens is that if your If the account has been used or has expired, Bloc automatically reverses or rejects the transfer, and the customer gets a refund, right? So that way, you as a business, you don't have to worry about refunding the customer or doing all those things in between. So if the account is expired, we automatically reject the transfer, which in return reverses the money back to the customer or to the sender. Right. So you can keep the questions coming. I think we have just a couple of minutes left. And like I said at the beginning of the call, for the people that didn't join the call earlier, this call is going to be like a recurring thing every month. So if you have more questions, you can send your questions to help at bloc.hq.io. But if you have questions about other products, like other Bloc products, like our bills payments, cards, checkouts, and other products that we offer, right? In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be having another developer section, and then I can demo or demonstrate how to use other products and answer other questions. Lou, I think.
All right, everyone. All right, everyone. So thank you so much, Jerry. This was a very, very insightful session. And I think we have a lot that we have covered. As Jerry said, so this would be a regular, would have a regular reading for our developer workshops. So, so you can expect that this would happen every month. We'd communicate the dates and the timeline for all of this to everyone via email, and you can also pay attention to our socials. You get them there. So, would like to say a very big thank you to everyone who showed up, and this brings us to the end of today's developer workshop. All right, guys, take care.
Sorry, one last thing, just to iterate again, if you have any issue related to account transfers that's currently affecting you, please send it to us. We are going to resolve them ASAP so that you can get back to work. All right, thank you, everyone. See you next month.